What are the chances of a card like Sheoldred the Apocalypse getting reprinted? What are the odds that you're going to lose value rather than retaining value with a card like this? Because there do come cards like this that have so much value to players that they just don't want to let it go, and other players are hoping it gets reprinted so they can afford the card. In today's video, we are going to be discussing Sheoldred the Apocalypse as a discussion topic on its reprint equity and if it's going to get reprint sooner rather than later. Is now the time to sell your copies of Sheoldred the Apocalypse, or should you hold on in hopes of a higher payday later on? That's our discussion today, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today as we discuss a card that's been found in Standard, Modern, Commander. This thing is a beast that has to be addressed. If you leave her on the board, she just gets worse and worse for you and scarier. So guys, right now I can tell you, Sheoldred the Apocalypse sells an average of 7 copies every day on TCG Player. Over the course of a week, if you look at the sales volume, and of course the price you can see in the backdrop there, between $78 all the way up to $83, which is anywhere between $94 Canadian up to $99 Canadian, although it does cost more here in Canada. We do pay a higher price for this card. You can look around, but you're going to find it for anywhere between $114 to $120, depending on where you're looking. Now here's the thing, when you look at this card, and you want to see where you can find it. It's already been reprinted technically, because we got it in Pricey All Will Be One. That was in 2023. But the card itself, it's still hard to find in the sense like players don't want to pay the money. But if you look at where you have this card, like let me share this with you guys. Let's get a few of the stills out of the way. So if we look here, you can see here's 401 Games in Toronto. $120 plus tax, guys. That's like $130 something for this card. They only have a couple of copies. If we jumped over and looked at face-to-face games, they're only $114.99. You can see they have, I think, 12 or something copies here. 12 or 14, I think they said, when I looked at it. And then, of course, if you look on things like TCG Player, you want to pop around here. TCG Player, I found 180 copies for sale. But if I went all the way to Card Market, guys, you would be finding so many more. Card Market's around 800 to 900 copies of Sheoldred. So there's a lot available. This card is not in short supply. It's everywhere. But here's the thing. Yes, it's been reprinted in Phyrexia All Will Be One. Yes, it's been in Dominaria United. But the thing is, we don't just have one type of box. You have the collector boxes, the set booster boxes, and the draft boxes, and Jumpstart. So Sheoldred's around. All different versions and iterations of the exact same card with different artwork, different foilings. But there's tons of copies out there. I'm telling you right now, just about the standard copy that you could get from Dominaria. Imagine all the hundreds and hundreds of copies available in all the different formats of the exact same card. So if we have all these copies available and it still demands a high price tag, well, why is that? What's going on with the card that is keeping it at this price? And it is the price. The price is being kept high because people know it's a valuable card. It gets used in Modern, we get used in Commander, we get used in Standard right now up until rotation. And in the past, we knew there was a good chance, Wizards knows too, that if you have 4 Sheoldred, you're going to sell a few of these off when it would rotate out of Standard. That's the past way of thinking. But what Wizards is failing to remember is they overprinted all of these sets. They're everywhere. Collector boxes, draft boxes, set booster boxes, bundle packs. I can find all these things in the hundreds if I need to. So you have hundreds of sealed boxes everywhere. And remember, they used to try to fire sell these out in 2023. They were trying to put these out really sweet deals. And they still have hundreds of boxes left. And we have thousands of copies available. So what is the incentive for a company like Wizards of the Coast to reprint the card now? Why would they want to do that when they have tons of copies available in the secondary market? But yes, you're right. It's not a secondary market they control. They don't set the price for Sheoldred in the secondary market space. They can actually cause power creep to overpower this card. They could reprint it into oblivion and just suck as much equity as they can out. But it looks like the company has been changing their ways. It looks to me like we are seeing a shift, in my opinion, of how they do their reprints. Now, for the last couple of years, and go with me on this, just to take me, we'll go down the journey together. In the last couple of years, Wizards of the Coast has, yes, been reprinting cards. Like we saw Mana Drain just got reprinted in the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, but it comes as the special like wanted poster style card. It's not a regular in the set. You're not going to find one or two in a box or even one or two in a case. It's going to be hard to find, but they can say they reprinted it. They did the same thing when they gave us things like Ravnica Remastered, but before that was Unfinity, where they only put one or two in a box type thing. And there's a couple in a box there for you, a couple, but not a ton. They love doing the vague reprint to tell you they've reprinted it, to tell you it's available, but really, it's just a way to whet your beak. It's to whet your appetite for the odd player who opens it the lottery style, but the price doesn't really diminish that much. If it does, the price tends to bounce back very quickly in the secondary market because there's only so many people opening boxes now that the prices just, they don't dip the way they used to from tons of people opening boxes, because those tons of boxes that used to be opened just aren't being opened anymore. It's not being opened the same way. So now you have to look at the company. They know their products are not being opened as much. They can see the secondary market value for this card, which means they can add this into a premium product a couple of years from now. Because remember, we just saw it in Phyrexia, all will be one. They're in no rush to reprint a card of this value type at this moment. They would rather see it gestate. They would rather see this thing cocoon into something bigger, badder, and better. Don't forget, this thing is a 4/5 creature for 4 mana. 2 black, 2 generic. It's a 4/5 with Death Touch. Not only that, this Phyrexian Praetor has, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever your opponent draws a card, you lose 2 life. You add that in with that bat from things like Ixalan, the one that does double the damage. You have insane combinations, and Wizards likes combinations. They like the idea that it has value. And yes, they don't control the secondary market, but they definitely follow it. And the economic team and the R&D department are very well aware of where the card prices stand, where the card value is being found, which formats, which decks are using it, because these are how bannings come along eventually. They have a very good ear to the ground to understand the value of the cards around them. They're looking at the sell-through rates. They're looking to see stock values of where these cards are and how many are found in any given area. Guys, it's crazy to think how much the company would follow through on this, but they do, because this is how they're going to engineer future products. If they need to guarantee just a little bit of value, to maybe get some boxes opened, they could put Sheoldred down the line as a product that you could have appearing somewhere else in a secondary special slot, the list card, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to be regular, but it's going to be enough that you don't forget the card. It's going to be enough that you're going to remember how special this card is, and you're going to desire it. That's what they want. They don't want to power creep this card out. They don't want to make it disappear, and they want it to continue to have value, but they are not going to reprint it in a standard set. You're not going to see it as a regular card ever again, because that's not the way the company does it. If anything, it's going to go to a secret layer. It's going to show up as some special edition somewhere. It's just the way the company likes to do things now. And if you don't think that it's that way, take a look around. Take a moment to research it like I did, and you will find out, yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because the company knows. After things like Khans of Tarkir, which was the last set we had a whole bunch of fetch lands showing up in the standard box set, now we don't have to worry about it. They're only in specialty boxes. It only happens every couple of years, and it's either really super hard to get, or they do a really premium product that demands the higher price point, like Modern Horizons 3. So, if you're a person who owns Sheoldred the Apocalypse, if you're holding on to this card right now, the idea that they are going to devalue this card into oblivion and bring it down to a $40 to $30 card, it's not going to happen. You're very safe and secure, in my opinion, to be able to hold on to this card for a number of years and still enjoy it, because they have no intention of reprinting it. They're not going to do it. Even things like Mox Amber, when it got its reprint, it became a specialty card inside of the Brothers War, and that's why it's already regenerating its price. It's already started to go back up, because every time they give us cheaper casting cost legendary creatures, that card has more and more value. Now, if you're a person who wants to buy this card, I'm sorry to say that the price is not really going to diminish. Now, if it gets outplayed or a way to get rid of it, because again, it is a kill target. There's nothing defending the card. It doesn't have ward. It doesn't have a way of bouncing back from the graveyard unless, somebody comes up with a way of doing that by using and utilizing a secondary card to take up deck space to make it happen. It doesn't have the innate defense mechanisms of other cards, but its brutal offense is what makes it so unique and so powerful of a card to play in almost any format. I don't care if you're playing it in Modern, I don't care if you're playing it in Commander, I don't care if you're playing it in Standard. If they can't deal with that card, if they don't get it off the board right away, every turn it sticks around, it gets worse and worse for the opponent, because there is a higher likelihood that the the player that has the card is going to be finding some way to keep it alive, bring it back, or do massive damage to you. It's a great card. And Wizards has no incentive to destroy the value of a card like this. It's not in their best interest. Whereas if they leave this card alone and let it gestate and let players really get a groove, they're not going to ban it, they're not going to get rid of it, and they just let it sit there in Happy Town, and every player looks in and says, I wish I had that card, the higher the desirability of this card, the higher the prices are going to tend to go, and before you know it, this card's going to be $105, $110. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I say it could happen. Because I do not control the market space. I cannot tell you how everything's going to go. But when you evaluate a card like this and you are looking at the financial value and the uses and availability of the card versus the supply-demand ratio, seven of these copies sell every day, back and forth. The stock only has so much available because of the overstock. Nobody's opening the boxes. All these little checks and boxes you would check off to see the financial value and security of the card, it all points up right now. And as much as that pains me to say for players who don't own copies of the card or didn't get it at $50, which is still a lot of money for a Magic card, guys, it's the way it's going to be. If you're going to play Standard, you're going to use this thing in Commander, or you're going to find a way to get this thing into a kitchen table Magic match, which I just did this weekend and it was glorious. I understand. It's a fun card. You either love it or you hate it, but it's not going anywhere. Anyway, guys, thanks again for hanging out with the channel. Thanks for sitting through with me here as we go through the financial evaluation of this card. Remember, high sales volumes at asking price tell you that people desire the card. The fact that this card continually sells day after day, week after week, month after month, generating hundreds and thousands of dollars every single week, this card's not going anywhere. It's not in Wizards' best interest to do it. Thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the channel. I look forward to seeing you guys all tomorrow for another video. Have a great day today. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to all the fantastic patrons and supporters of my channel. Now, because of the patrons and supporters from YouTube membership members through to Patreon, these people supporting the channel allow for daily uploaded content and information to be passed along to everyone on YouTube. Guys, thanks again for supporting the channel. Have a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble, guys. Look at the sales. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. Different versions, doesn't matter. The thing just keeps selling, and this just tells you it's not in Wizards' best interest. They're a company. They need to make money. They need the value of this card to go up because it allows for higher reprint equity value in the IP of Sheoldred the Apocalypse later on. This is something that can't be ignored, can't be denied, and come on, it was engineered. They knew what they were doing when they created the card. They made it easy to be killed because nothing defends that thing, but at the same time, it is a beast when it gets going. And the more I looked at the card and people asked the question, should I be selling now? Should I be looking at it? When you do a financial evaluation on individual Magic cards, you can find out interesting facts and information. Did I say welcome back to the Ramble Jamble? Because I meant it. Welcome back. When you look at how many copies sell week in, week out, month in, month out, over the course of a year, you look at where they're selling, which places ran out, which places need more copies, how many boxes got opened, how many of those boxes may or may not have had a Sheoldred because it wasn't that easy of a card to find in Dominaria United. More common in the collector boxes versus the set and draft. Bundle packs. I think when we're looking at cards like this, Wizards knows this is the future for them. They know these cards are going to have value, and they're going to have a lot of excitement to players who open them, like the good old days of Avacyn. When we opened those cards back then, and you got the Angel of Hope, it was a $50 card right out of the box, and you knew it. Wizards may be going back to this. They may not, but they know the excitement players can get, the innate enthusiasm when you see you've opened a pack like that, like a Mana Drain. I saw some people open a Mana Drain at the pre-release for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and they were just floored. Even though it's only a $40, $50 card, the excitement they felt, you could feel it too. And that's amazing. That kind of energy just can't be denied. And a player hitting kind of a mini lottery, it builds excitement for everyone. And Wizards is well aware of this. Their marketing teams know how to do it. So anyway, I just want to share that with you guys. For those players who asked about if they should be selling their copies or not, I don't think it's time. I think there's still a time for this card to grow further in value the further we get in. And yes, the card will be rotating out, but not anytime soon. So you might as well enjoy it, play with it, because there's no way that Wizards is reprinting this after Phyrexia All Will Be One. It's too soon. And if they ever reprint it, it's going into a specialty slot anyway. I've repeated myself a lot. It's all good. Thanks again for hanging out, guys. Thanks for being here at the Green Screen Day. Green Screen. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Have a great one.